Hello everyone, this is Sam, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you the easiest and most simplest way to make some gold in Guild Wars 2 that also requires no trading knowledge whatsoever. This gold making method has been sanctioned, if not encouraged by Ironet for years on end, and it is one that I have also talked about in the past. It is becoming more and more interesting due to the recent sales that we are getting on the Guild Wars 2 game. Some other content creators like Mighty Teapot, Guildemem, and Co, and so on and so forth have also talked about this method, and today I'm trying to make a very simple guide explaining from the start to the end how best to use it. But first, let's listen to the intro. Now, in order to show you guys what I'm saying with very easy and quality gold making, I'm first going to show you a page from the wiki. The thing we're going to be focusing on today is the logging rewards. These were introduced quite a few years back and have become increasingly interesting due to the fact that they are one of the best sources of mystic coins and the tier 6 materials if you do not have hours to spend farming. When doing your daily login, you are going to progress towards the final reward, the Chest of Loyalty, throughout 28 days. With these 28 days, what you're getting is summed up here: 20 Mystic Coins, 35 to 55 Laurels, and some other rewards. The Tomes of Knowledge are actually quite good as well, because these can be turned into Spirit Shards, which are yet another source of gold. Yet, we are still looking at quite a lot of gold. This is a summary of what I am getting with my own accounts. I have 22 of them. Throughout a month, it's 1.7k gold across all these accounts, and throughout a year, that means 22,000 gold. This is no small amount, and for the people who are already spending money on gems, this is a very good alternative. Instead of buying gem cards, you should be buying accounts and logging onto them. Now, of course, a lot of the people are just going to tell, but logging into every account daily, that's very annoying. If you've got more than like 4 or 5, it's going to be a chore, etc. And I completely agree with you guys. Which is why, across all this time, a lot of people have actually figured out different ways to try and log in to multiple accounts. These ways are quite well explained on Reddit and some other places, and some people have even created some softwares that we can use in order to log our accounts. And that's what I'm going to be talking in this part, and then our final part will be about what you can do to support creators, so stay tuned until the end of the video. What you can do in order to log onto multiple accounts is first figure out how the information is stored. And in order to do that, the first place you should go to is into your app data and roaming folders. Here we have the Guild Wars 2 subfolder, and as you can see, there are a lot of DAT files in my case, but you should have only a local.dat file. This stores all your information and configuration and is basically used in order to log you into the game. If you're already using the auto login argument and some other comments when logging into your accounts, you will also have that stored specifically in this file. What that means is that right now, if I just click my Guild Wars 2 game launcher, it is gonna tell me that it can log me into my main account. And as you can see, I have made multiple copies of my DAT files in order to have them stored away. So the first thing that you should do when you have multiple accounts is to log in into every single one of them, and every time you log on to one of them, you just copy the local.dat file and rename it. The reason why is because the next thing we're going to look at is a way to make each of these saved files that contain your login information and other settings into the main one that is going to be used by the game when you launch it. The first way it was explained, at least to my knowledge, is by Das Raker 6 years ago. The way it works is that you replace the local.dat file with the one that you have stored away. So you can make a text file, like a notepad file, and just write down all of that replace it with your own personal information, like where to find the data, etc. And once you're done with that, you're good to go. You can just launch it as a bat file. And what it's going to do is, just as I have explained earlier, replace the current local .dat file with one that you've stored away. The way it works in practice is the following. We were logged in onto my main account just now, and if I double click this one, it's going to copy a file, and it's going to tell me that I can log onto this North American account of mine. And this step is also going to be very useful when it comes to using Guild Wars 2 Launchbuddy and Guild Wars 2 Launcher, because if you have all of this set up from the get-go, it's going to go much, much faster. I'm now going to be showing you how to add an account to either of these softwares and how to launch it. So in the case of Guild Wars 2 Launchbuddy, the first thing you should check is whether or not it is pointing to the right place to find your Guild Wars 2 client, so in my case that is correct. And then you can just go into account settings in order to add a new account. So here what we're going to do is add my NA account. I'm naming it NA, and then in the login credentials it's going to ask me to set a login file. The login file is basically the local.dat that contains the information, so if I click it right now, since it is already set to my NA account, it's going to be correct. See, that's my NA account, no problem. I just click login, the information is now stored in Launchbuddy. The next thing you should do is ensure that you have the argument windowed ticked in, because you will be launching multiple accounts using this software. If you do not launch all of them as windows, the resources it's going to take from your computer are going to be massive. Guild Wars 2 takes a lot of RAM and processing power, so you want to make sure that you reduce the toll on your computer as much as possible. With all this done, we can just save it, and then we're going to find it again in the home. If we click it and press Launch Guild Wars 2, it's going to launch this account. And if we select multiple accounts with the Control key pressed, we can launch all of them. This is the way that Guild Wars 2 Launchbuddy functions. This is very simple, and if anything that I could say against it, I would probably just say that it's a little bit heavy. Like, game takes a little bit longer to launch through Launchbuddy. Sometimes it hangs on, and it can also have a little bit of issue with patches, because whenever you're gonna start Launchbuddy, what it's gonna try to do is update all of your accounts through Launchbuddy, and sometimes that can be a little bit wonky. Of course, these are options that you can change, like automatically check for Launchbuddy update is something you should have checked in, but automatically update .dat files is something that you actually can take off, and that way you can just use all of your bat files, so in my case these are the shortcuts, the bat files are in my AppData folder, in order to update all of your accounts manually. This is down to you, to your own preferences, but just showing you how it works so that you can make an enlightened choice. Now, when it comes to Guild Wars 2 Launcher, things look much sleeker. It's quite simple, but it can also be a little bit hard to understand for people who are not used to the way it's working. So in order to add a new account, what you do is you're just going to click and create new account. Here you need to put an account name on it. We're going to go with NA in my case. The next things we will want to set over there is the launch options. So we want it to be windowed. All the other options are quite alright, so we're going to keep it as that. And then in the local.dat file, we're going to need to select one. We could copy from or share with this, but instead we're going to copy from my NA file. And this should actually be correct. With all this said and done, there is nothing else that you need to pay attention to unless you want some specific options in your case. For me, everything's good. I'm just gonna press OK, and then it's gonna ask me a question about the Guild Wars image settings. This is something that you can configure, like your graphical settings, per account, but I just tend to have one that I use with everything, and then the fact that I launched the game as windowed is already good enough when it comes to reducing the performance it takes for my computer. So I'm gonna use the default file for everything. Now that everything has been set up properly, what we can do is simply launch multiple accounts at once. For that, you just need to click all of the accounts in the order that you desire to, and then you can just log in onto them. Guilders 2 Launchbuddy is going to do exactly the same, so I'm just going to do you a demo over there, and we're going to be good to go. So here you can see that my window sizes are extremely small. This is completely okay. I don't need to actually be able to play the game or anything. I simply need to log onto it, get the daily login rewards, and bail out. And this is really the best way for you to make gold in Guild Wars 2 because it requires no knowledge, no trading experience, just to put a little bit of money up front at the start and then use all of that money to buy whatever you want in the game. If you're the kind of person to spend money on gems, this is especially good because you will not need to buy gems ever again. With all of this said, I have now shown you how to set up your accounts, how to set up all of that local.dat files that can be a little bit misleading if you don't know how that works, and how to set up Guild Wars 2 Launchbuddy and Guild Wars 2 Launcher if you want to play on multiple accounts at the same time. Now is the time for a very important disclaimer. Even though these are some third-party softwares, you are not at a risk of getting banned or being locked out of your account. The reason behind that is that you need to be on the active window if you want to put anything into the game, like if you want to have your keyboard inputs recognized by the game. If you try and add another layer of software that allows you to operate all of these accounts at the same time, then yeah, you might get banned, you might get some action taken against your account, but if the only thing you're doing is logging them in, clicking each of the windows individually to do something in the game or to just grab the login rewards and quit, then that's perfectly fine. No worries. Now that you have said all of this, I believe the next thing I should show you is how to get multiple accounts with a single email address, because that's also an issue. You don't want to have to manage 40 different email addresses, especially if you're at a different location than usual and you need to do the two-factor authentication. That's going to be a little bit annoying, right? So there is a way you can do that, and it's actually very simple. Whenever you have an email address, for instance in my case a Gmail address, you can actually add a few extra letters after a plus sign if you want to change the email address but still have everything dropped onto your original email address. I believe an example is better than words over there, so that's what I'm going to do. We saw earlier that my NA account is actually darksam745. And there is a way to make it so that you can have other accounts use exactly the same base address. For instance, if we take my 10th account, you're going to see instantly that it's darksam745 plus GW10. The plus sign actually separates the original address that is going to send everything to whatever you want to create as like an alt address from this one. So here it's going to update my local.dat file, and that was the darksam GW10. In order to show you guys for a little bit longer, I'm going to launch Guild Wars 2 normally, and that way you can see how it works. darksam745 plus, plus to separate the things, GW10 so that I know what I'm doing over there, and gmail.com, and that's as simple as that. Of course, you're still going to need to create a different password, because I wouldn't advise to use the same password for everything, yet that is a very easy and good way to have a single email address and as many accounts as you want from there. I believe that with this said, we're pretty much done on the account creation, Launchbuddy, Guild Wars 2 Launcher usage, etc. And what we need to do now is talk about something very important, which is supporting the content creators. Right now we're moving onwards to the End of Dragons, and End of Dragons is gonna be a massive moment of people buying into the game, either like buying the expansion because they want to play it, or buying an account because they want to try stuff up before getting the expansion. Guild Wars 2 and Iron.net actually has a very good affiliation system that allows people to get a little bit of cash, reward, etc. based on whether or not their affiliation link is used. I'm going to show you how it works with my own affiliation link, but that works the same way for everyone. Generally, content creators who are on YouTube are going to have theirs in the description of every video. If they're on Twitter, they usually have a pinned tweet at the top of their account that has that information. And that is where you should be looking if you want to support a content creator without necessarily having to sub, go to Patreon, shell money out from your pocket. Using this system is better than nothing. So, for example, in my own description over there, that's my latest video, there is a link for getting Guild Wars 2 Path of Fire, and there is also a link to try the game out for free. In our case, we're going to look at the first one. Also, if the people are using something to shorten the URL link, it's not exactly going to work, so you should actually tell them, tell the content creator, because they might not get the sale registered on their affiliate account. So here you just click Buy Now, and you're going to be taken to the page buy.guildwars2, and it still has the affiliation link, as you can see. Here, the first thing you need to do is turn off uBlock. So that's something that I do here by default. I remove it on buy.guildwars2, and if you actually have uBlock enabled or any other ad block enabled, the sale will go through, but it's not going to be registered as an affiliate sale. So you really need to turn that off just for buy.guildwars2 so that you're sure that you are supporting your favorite content creator. Then you can just select whatever you want to buy, go to checkout, and do everything as usual when doing an online purchase. I think that this is already quite a long video. I have explained a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure that's a lot of information for you to take in. But that's gonna be where we end it for today. All of this is very important if you want to make good gold without having to put any effort in. And if you are the kind of person who would play quite regularly or would have the time to log onto your accounts and you're buying gems, then by all means, change teams, right? Be one of us, one of these people just logging all their accounts every day, and you're gonna see that the gold comes in very easily. Once again, I am getting 1.7k gold a month, which is 22k gold a year, just doing this. No effort whatsoever. Very simple, very chill. And if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section and I'll be answering them. I'm also going to be putting a link to the Reddit thread in which there was the information that I used to make the original batch file. And I think that's going to be pretty much it. You're set to go. If you have enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe, like the video, and maybe leave a comment, as that would help me out with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to take your support a step further, just like I've shown in the video, you can actually use my own link to buy your alt accounts directly from the Guild Wars 2 website. If instead you're more the kind of person to want to subscribe directly, I have a Twitch channel, of which the link is in the description and you can use that. Or if you want to go over to Patreon, you can do so as well. Everything is $1 on Patreon, and on Twitch is just a regular sub and you can use Prime for it. If you do so, you're going to have access to everything else that I am doing for my subscribers, which is getting to be quite thick at the moment. There are a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of information, especially going onwards to the End of Dragon release. That's going to be more and more worth. I believe I've said everything, so huge round of thanks to all the people who are supporting me, all the people who are actually already my subs, Patreons, or who've actually used my affiliate link, because I can see when that happens, so that always feels good. With all this said and done, I'm gonna wish you some happy trading and to get rich.